All right, buckle up, everyone, because we are diving headfirst into the German elections.
Yeah, things got...
Oh, they got
Wow,
interesting. We're talking shockwaves across Europe. Kind of interesting.
Absolutely.
So we've got a whole stack of news reports, analogies, the whole shebang to try and make sense of it all.
Yeah, a lot to unpack.
And we're going to focus on, like, the biggest surprises, the stuff that really makes you go, hold on, what just happened?
The things that nobody saw coming.
Exactly.
A real turning point, it feels like.
Yeah, so first off, the CDU, they're back in the driver's seat. First win since Angela Merkel said Auf Wiedersehen.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because it's a swing back to the center-right, but it's not just like Merkel 2.0, you know?
Yeah.
This new leader, Friedrich Merz, he's definitely more, more conservative even than she was.
Oh, yeah, much more.
Especially on things like spending and immigration.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the big question is, what does this kind of leadership mean for Germany and the EQ?
Right, especially with everything going on, the economy, Ukraine, the whole refugee situation.
Yeah, it's a lot to handle.
And here's the kicker, right?
What's that?
Merz has never, and I mean never, held a government position before.
Wow, straight to the top.
Straight to chancellor, yeah. And he even said, I'm quoting here, let's get the party started.
Oh, I saw that.
So, I don't know, eager beaver much.
He seems ready to hit the ground running, that's for sure.
Right, but now for the real jaw dropper. And, I mean, this one's a doozy.
I think I know where you're going with this.
The AfD,
yeah,
the far-right AfD, are now the second biggest party in Germany.
Unprecedented?
Never happened before, not on this scale.
Definitely a sign of the times.
Yeah, a lot to unpack here.
For sure. I mean, it reflects some deep anxieties in Germany right now about the economy, immigration, all the big global shifts. And Alice Weidel, their leader, she called it a historic result.
Oh, yeah, she was practically gloating.
Well, they're feeling emboldened, that's for sure.
Yeah, and you know what else is crazy?
What's that?
Elon Musk endorsed them.
Oh, yeah, that was a big story.
And then you had Jamie Vance, the U.S. vice president, meeting with Weidel.
Really makes you wonder how much that influenced things, especially with younger voters.
Yeah, especially young men. I've heard they're leaning towards the AfD more and more.
It's a trend we're seeing in a lot of places, unfortunately.
Okay, so while the AfD's rising, someone else is falling, and falling hard.
Schultz, right?
Schultz and his traffic light coalition, they're out of gas.
Yeah, it seems those lights have gone out.
Big hit for the SPD.
Coalitions, they're fragile things, you know, all that infighting, it really hurt them.
And you could argue that this loss could have ripple effects throughout Europe, not just Germany.
Oh, absolutely. The balance of power is shifting.
And here's another little tidbit for you.
Go on.
Schultz, he actually lost a no-confidence vote on purpose.
What? To trigger this election?
Yeah, bold move, right?
Definitely didn't pay off, though.
Nope, not at all, which just shows how unpredictable things are right now.
Yeah, nobody knows what's coming next.
So, CBU won? Yay for them. But not by a landslide.
Nope, they need friends.
They got to build a coalition.
And that is where things get...
Oh, that's where it gets juicy.
Very interesting.
$1 million question, will anyone work with the AfD?
Yeah, that's the big one.
Merz says 9.
But the pressure's got to be immense, especially with how much they gain.
Oh, it's massive.
This whole firewall against the far right, it's being tested like never before.
And the AfD, they're not just sitting back.
No, they're definitely making their voices heard.
They're saying, hey, the voters spoke, work with us.
They're claiming a mandate.
Yeah, and this could change German politics forever.
It really could. We're at a crossroads.
Okay, but before we get too deep into that, let's zoom out for a sec.
Okay.
Germany is kind of a big deal in Europe, right?
Oh, absolutely. They're the economic powerhouse, the biggest population, a major player on the world stage.
So what do these results mean for the EU as a whole?
Well, any shift in their leadership, any change in their stance on big issues, it's going to have a domino effect on trade, immigration, even the war in Ukraine.
Oh, for sure. And speaking of Ukraine, did you hear about Trump?
What about him?
He congratulated the CDU on their win.
Interesting.
So does that mean a closer relationship between the U.S. and a more conservative Germany?
We'll have to see how things play out, but it's certainly a possibility.
Okay, so there you have it, folks.
Quite a ride.
A whirlwind tour of the German election roller coaster. CDU comeback, AfD surge, Schultz out, coalition drama.
And a whole lot of questions about what comes next.
Exactly. We've just scratched the surface here, believe me.
We've got a lot more to explore.
So stay tuned as we keep untangling this web of political intrigue and figure out what it all means for Germany, for Europe, for the world.
It's going to be fascinating to watch it all unfold.
Absolutely. Stay with us. All right, so we've laid the groundwork, but let's dig a little deeper into these key players in this whole drama.
Okay.
You mentioned Merz being more conservative.
Yeah.
What exactly makes him so different from Merkel?
Well, I think, Merkel, she was she was often seen as more of a pragmatist, right?
Hmm.
Someone who could build consensus, navigate those tricky political waters.
Yeah.
Merz, he's more ideological,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to the economy.
Oh, so like less government, more individual responsibility, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. He's a big believer in free markets, fiscal discipline, all that.
Hmm. And that could create some friction in the EU, couldn't it?
Oh, potentially, yeah.
I mean, they've traditionally favored a more social approach, right?
Yeah, a social market economy, it's kind of their thing.
And what about immigration? You said Merz is skeptical?
Yeah, he's been critical of Germany's open door policy,
Okay.
wants stricter border controls, limits on the number of refugees.
Wow, that's a pretty big departure from Merkel.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, especially with the situation in Ukraine.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, but let's switch gears for a minute and talk about the AfD.
Right.
Their success. I mean, that was the real shocker, right?
Absolutely.
What's fueling their popularity, especially with the younger generation?
Well, there are a few things going on. I think,
Okay.
first off, you have this economic anxiety among young Germans.
Makes sense.
Tough job market, housing costs are through the roof. They're worried they won't be as well off as their parents were.
Right.
And the AfD, they tap into that. They blame immigration, globalization.
Ah, so they're offering like a simple explanation for really complex problems?
Exactly. And it resonates with some people, the ones looking for easy answers, someone to blame.
And they're good at using social media, right? To get their message out, especially to younger people.
Oh, yeah, they're very savvy. They know how to connect with that demographic.
And then you have, Elon Musk endorsing them, J.D. Vance meeting with their leader.
Right. That gives them a certain legitimacy.
Yeah, it makes them seem less fringe, more mainstream.
Which is dangerous because it normalizes their more extreme views.
So it's not just about the economy then.
No, there's a cultural element too.
Like they're playing on fears of losing traditional values, national identity, that kind of thing.
Exactly. They're the defenders of the true Germany. That's their message.
Powerful narrative, even if it's, kind of twisted.
And it's not just Germany, right? This is happening all over Europe, even in the U.S.
Right, this whole right-wing populism thing, it's a global trend.
It is, and it's fueled by a lot of things. Inequality, rapid change, people feeling disillusioned.
So how do you fight that? How do you counter this wave of populism?
It's tough, but I think part of it is addressing the economic concerns.
Okay.
Investing in education, job training, making sure the social safety net is strong.
So tackling income inequality, making people feel more secure.
Exactly. But it's not just about money. It's about addressing those cultural anxieties, too.
Right.
Promoting tolerance, inclusivity, making sure everyone feels welcome and respected.
So we need to, bridge those divides, find some common ground.
Yeah, and we need strong leadership from politicians, from everyday people.
Okay, I'm starting to get a clearer picture now.
Good.
But there's still this big question hanging over everything.
Yeah, the big one.
What happens now? The CDU won, but who are they going to govern with?
The coalition conundrum.
That's what everyone's waiting to see.
And it's going to be interesting.
All right, well, let's dive into that. What are the options? Who are the potential partners? And what does it all mean for Germany?
So the most likely scenario, I think, is a grand coalition between the CDU and the SPD.
So the two biggest parties team up again?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be kind of awkward? I mean, after all that campaigning against each other?
Yeah, it wouldn't be easy, that's for sure.
Right.
They'd have to, put aside their differences.
Bury the hatchet.
Find common ground on the big issues like the economy, immigration.
But they've done it before, right?
Yeah, grand coalitions. It's not unheard of in German politics.
Remember Merkel?
Exactly. She was a master of making those kind of deals work.
But wouldn't it also be, I don't know, kind of a signal that nothing's really going to change?
That's the risk.
Like meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
Yeah, it could alienate voters even more, the ones who are looking for something different.
And could it push them further to the extremes?
It's definitely a possibility.
Speaking of extremes, you got to wonder if the AfD's, their strong showing.
Yeah.
If that's going to make it even harder for the other parties to compromise.
I think it will, yeah.
Will the CDU, will they be tempted to, shift further right?
To try and win back those voters?
Yeah, to stop them from going to the AfD?
That's the dilemma they're facing.
So grand coalition, that's one option. What else is on the table?
Well, they could also try to form a coalition with the Greens.
That would be something else.
Very different kind of government.
Green CDU.
Yeah, one that puts climate change front and center, social justice, all that.
Bold move.
Very bold.
But could they actually make it work? I mean, the CDU's economic views, they're pretty conservative.
And the Greens are, the Greens,
Yeah.
you would require compromises.
A big compromise.
The Greens might have to ease up on some of their economic demands. The CDU would have to be more ambitious on climate.
But it could be, a chance to do something new, something different?
Yeah, a new direction for Germany.
A green Germany.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so we've got Grand Coalition, we've got Green Coalition. Are there any other potential dance partners?
Well, there's the FDP.
The Free Democrats.
Yeah, they're more pro-business, libertarian-leaning.
Right, right.
They've been part of coalitions before, but their economic ideas might clash with both the CDU and the Greens.
So the CDU, they've got some tough choices to make.
They do.
And whatever they decide, it's not just going to affect Germany, right?
No, this has implications for all of Europe, the whole world even.
Yeah, Germany's kind of a big deal.
Absolutely. And with a more conservative government under Merz, we might see a shift in foreign policy.
Especially towards Russia and the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, that's a big unknown.
And we already saw Trump, congratulating the CDU, talk about closer ties.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, could be a sign of things to come.
A realignment of alliances.
It's like we're not watching a political thriller in real time.
And we don't even know the ending yet.
So much uncertainty, so many possibilities.
It's a reminder that even in a stable democracy like Germany, things can change so quickly.
Yeah.
And those changes, they can have huge consequences we might not fully understand for years.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Election results, the key players, the coalition puzzle, the global implications. It's a lot to take in.
It is, but it's important stuff.
But before we wrap up, I want to bring it back to you, to our listeners.
Yeah, let's shift perspective for a minute.
Imagine you're a German citizen right now. You're hearing all this news. How are you feeling?
Hopeful, anxious, maybe a bit of both.
What are your hopes for the future of Germany?
What are your fears?
How do you want your leaders to navigate these challenges?
What kind of Germany do you want to see emerge from all of this?
These are big questions, tough questions.
And there are no easy answers.
But by engaging with these questions, by staying informed, by participating,
we can all play a role in shaping the future.
Not just of Germany, but of the world.
The future's not set in stone. It's something we create.
That's a good point. A very good point.
So thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the German elections.
We hope you found it informative, engaging, maybe even a little bit inspiring.
And remember, stay curious, stay informed, stay engaged.
Because the world needs your voice.
Absolutely, it does.